The confession lands like a thunderclap. Not planned, not smooth, just raw, terrifying honesty spilling out in the worst possible moment. And it changes everything. Chapter 50.2 doesn't ease into this. It detonates the tension that's been suffocating these characters for 50 chapters and drops the words fans have been screaming at their screens to say. One of them finally breaks. Finally admits what's been obvious to everyone except the person who needed to hear it most. And the reaction? Not relief, not immediate joy. Vulnerability so sharp it hurts to witness. Faces that show every defense crumbling, every fear laid bare. The terrifying realization that saying the truth out loud means risking everything you've carefully protected. This isn't a romantic confession played for cute moments or comedic misunderstandings. This is two people standing at the edge of losing each other entirely. And the only way forward is through admitting feelings that could destroy the friendship they've built if the answer isn't what they desperately hope it is. The silence after the words are spoken stretches forever. The kind of silence where you can feel the weight of years of unspoken longing, missed signals, moments where they almost said something but pulled back at the last second. And then the response comes. Not the one you expect, but the one that makes sense for characters who've been hurting themselves to avoid hurting each other. It's heartbreak and hope tangled together so tightly you can't separate them. Chapter 50.1 set the trap. Chapter 50.2 springs it. And the fallout is going to reshape everything fans thought they understood about where this relationship was heading. But that's just the start. Here's how it all unravels. Natsume and Natsume has been building this moment since its first chapter, layering every interaction between Minazuki and Shiranui with the kind of tension that comes from two people who clearly care about each other but can't or won't cross that final line. The timing arc specifically has been torture. Watching them orbit each other, getting close, pulling back, almost saying something important before defaulting to safer territory. Chapter 50.1 ended on the worst possible cliffhanger. One of them starting to say something that sounded like a confession, then cutting away before we got resolution. That wasn't just teasing, that was the series acknowledging it had pushed these characters to the breaking point and there was nowhere left to go except through. Chapter 50.2 picks up immediately in that unbearable silence. No time skip, no comedic interruption, just the two of them, alone. With words hanging in the air that can't be taken back. The confession itself is messy. Not the polished, rehearsed declaration you see in romance manga that know they're playing to tropes. This is someone admitting feelings they've tried to bury because acknowledging them meant risking everything. The friendship, the dynamic, the safety of knowing where they stand with each other. It's terrifying honesty born from reaching the point where not saying it hurts worse than the possibility of rejection. The response is what breaks hearts. Not rejection, but hesitation. Not because the feelings aren't mutual, but because both characters have been carrying so much fear about ruining what they have. Shiranui's childhood admiration for Minazuki has been established throughout the series, the way they looked up to them, wanted to be someone worthy of standing beside them. Minazuki's protective instincts and the little acts of kindness that seemed casual but were always directed at Shiranui specifically. The foundation was there, everyone could see it. But seeing it and acting on it are completely different when the stakes are this personal. The twist in their dynamic comes from what gets revealed about Minazuki's motivation. There's a moment in the chapter where their reasoning for staying silent all this time becomes clear, and it recontextualizes every interaction fans have analyzed for romantic subtext. They weren't oblivious, they were protecting Shiranui from the pressure of having to respond to feelings they weren't sure Shiranui could reciprocate. It's self-sacrificing in the most painful way, choosing loneliness over risking making someone you care about uncomfortable. That revelation shifts the entire emotional weight of the confession, because it's not just, I have feelings for you, it's, I've been carrying these feelings alone because I couldn't bear the thought of burdening you with them. The confession itself is a masterclass in emotional vulnerability. Most romance manga play these moments for maximum drama or comedy. Interruptions, misunderstandings, declarations that get swept up in grand gestures. Natsume Natsume strips all of that away. The words are simple, halting, imperfect. The kind of confession that happens when someone's reached their limit and the truth just spills out because holding it in one more second would break them. That rawness is what's resonating with fans. It doesn't feel like a plot beat, it feels like watching someone risk everything on honesty because the alternative, continuing to pretend, has become unbearable. The response is equally important. Shiranui doesn't immediately reciprocate or reject, they freeze. Process. Show the audience through silence and expression that this isn't a surprise, but it's still overwhelming. There's a difference between suspecting someone might have feelings for you and having those feelings confirmed out loud. The weight of suddenly having to respond, to choose between preserving the status quo or stepping into unknown territory, paralyzes them. And that paralysis isn't frustrating, it's human. It's recognizing that whatever they say next will change everything, and there's no taking it back once the words are out. The reveal about Minazuki's motivations adds tragic depth to their character. They've been the protector, the reliable one, the person who puts others first. But that protective instinct has been a prison. By never admitting their feelings, they thought they were sparing Shiranui the burden of having to navigate romantic expectations. Instead, they were denying both of them the chance to figure out what they could be together. It's self-sacrifice that masquerades as selflessness but is actually fear. Fear of rejection, fear of changing a dynamic that works, fear that admitting need makes you weak. Shiranui's reaction shows they're processing this too, realizing that Minazuki has been hurting in silence while Shiranui assumed they were content with friendship. The shift toward potential romance hinges on what happens after the initial shock wears off. The chapter ends with both characters in emotional limbo. The confession is out, but the response is incomplete. That's deliberate. The series isn't rushing to resolve this. It's letting both characters sit with the enormity of what's just happened. Chapter 50.3 will likely deal with the aftermath. Can they move forward romantically? Will fear pull them back into familiar safety? Is there a way to acknowledge these feelings without destroying the foundation they've built? The fan theories about fake-outs or third-character interruptions miss the emotional point. This chapter works because it's genuine. Introducing a twist that undermines the confession's sincerity would betray the vulnerability both characters just showed. The more interesting speculation is whether Shiranui will reveal they've been carrying similar feelings, but were equally afraid to act on them. A double confession where both have been suffering in parallel, each trying to protect the other from their own emotions. That would be thematically perfect for a series that's always been about people trying to be heroes for each other, while neglecting their own needs. The broader series theme of being someone's hero takes on new meaning here. Both characters have tried to be that for each other. Minazuki through protection and support, Shiranui through admiration and loyalty. But being someone's hero isn't the same as being their partner. Partnership requires vulnerability, admitting you need them as much as they need you, accepting that you don't have to be perfect or invincible to be loved. If this confession pushes both characters toward that realization, that they can be heroes for each other without hiding their fears and needs, then chapter 50.2 isn't just a romantic turning point. It's character growth that's been building since the series began, finally manifesting in the courage to be honest. If the next chapter shows both characters choosing to step into uncertainty together instead of retreating to safe distance, Natsume and Natsume will have delivered one of the most emotionally authentic romance progressions in recent manga. Not because it's dramatic or grand, but because it's messy, terrifying, and deeply human in ways that make every reader who's ever been afraid to admit their feelings feel seen.